a little while after that, the Chongqing government wanted foreign influencers to go down there. So a team of us went down there to produce an independent series promoting Chongqing. But at the same time,
Ever wonder who produces Chinese CCP propaganda? You might have heard of the 50 Cent Army or Little Pinks. This perception is outdated because in addition to these groups, highly respected professionals such as judges, prosecutors, police officers, and other civil servants are now required to produce CCP propaganda.
I was getting paid salary to travel, but I was also monetizing the content I produced. And the Guiyang government was happy. And we negotiated again a contract to have us host an independent series to go on the Guilin government's Facebook page.
6 years ago, the Chinese government originally had to pay extra to the 5 Cent Army to create CCP propaganda. However, in 2018, a meeting fundamentally changed this practice. During a meeting by the Central Political and Legal Affairs Commission, a government body, this paid mechanism was successfully transformed into a routine responsibility of all Chinese civil servants. Since then, the Communist Party no longer needs to pay 5 cents, yet it can still generate CCP propaganda with this even larger and more professional team of civil servants. Back in August 2022, I had already shared this article from the Guangdong Provincial Committee of Political and Legal Affairs on my Chinese channel, discussing how Chinese judges, prosecutors, public security officers, and other civil servants were tasked with creating Communist Party propaganda. However, shortly after the video was released, the related webpage was quickly taken down, resulting in a 404 error. Perhaps the Guangdong provincial government is more reserved and has not yet fully embraced the party's Central Committee's directive to dare to fight and have the courage to fight, which might explain the deletion of this article. Other Chinese government institutions, however, still have records of it. So today, I will provide a guided reading of this article from the Hunan Provincial People's Court, which references the meeting held by the Central Political and Legal Affairs Commission on the construction of new media for political and legal networks. After watching this video, you will understand 1. Why the Chinese government still needs to form a political and legal internet influencer Red Army, even though the 5 Cent Army is already so cheap. 2. Who these political and legal influencers are now, and who is eligible to join the Chinese political and legal internet influencer Red Army. 3. What do these Chinese political and legal internet celebrities do? The title of this article is 8 Principles. But before discussing these principles, it clearly states the goal: to cultivate political and legal internet influencers and carry out online fight. But why does the Chinese government have to establish this political and legal internet influencer Red Army, and who are they fighting against? It turns out that China is currently at a crucial stage in realizing the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. At the same time, the Chinese government is facing increasing demands from the people for democracy, rule of law, fairness, justice, and a safe environment, which has posed new challenges to the Chinese government. For those of you living in Western countries, you may find this strange. Why would the people's demand for democracy, rule of law, fairness, justice, and a safe environment be a challenge to the government? Listen, you can't use a Western mindset to analyze China. In the past, actually not long ago during the 1970s, when China was undergoing socialist reforms, the Chinese government would directly imprison those who challenged it. But as human rights have progressed in China, now, when the government faces increasing demands for democracy, rule of law, fairness, justice, and a safe environment, it has merely established the political legal internet influencer Red Army to counter these demands online. So, isn't this already significant proof of China's human rights improvement? Now that you understand why the Chinese government established the political legal internet influencer Red Army, let's move on to who they are and who can join this army. The title of the article is Adhering to the 8 Principles. The 4th, 5th, and 8th principles clearly point out the 2 types of people in this internet army. Principle 4 emphasizes the need to accelerate the pace of establishing new media accounts for all levels of political and legal institutions. It encourages political and legal officers to set up their own media accounts and actively expand the online presence of political and legal new media accounts. Wait, what are political and legal officers? Baidu explains that political legal officers are professionals in departments such as public security, courts, prosecutors' offices, prisons, national security, and judicial administration. So, it definitely means, after 2018 in China, police officers, judges, prosecutors, and prison officers all have to open online accounts to engage in CCP propaganda. Now you understand that China's internet army has grown beyond the original Little Pinks and 5 Cent army, and has become even stronger with the addition of the political and legal internet celebrity, with judges and prosecutors joining in to do the same work as the Little Pinks and 5 Cent army. But what exactly does the Chinese political and legal internet Red Army do? And what if you are not currently a civil servant, but want to become part of China's political and legal internet influencer Red Army? How can you join this Red Army? The 5th, 7th, and 8th principles provide a clear pathway for you. Principle 5 focuses on discovering and gathering a group of creators of positive energy content. It encourages the potential of political and legal officers to become the most reliable providers of high-quality content for new media platforms, continuously creating original contents. It also invites positive energy influencers to join and form a socially networked elite team of creators who can write high-quality content in response to major events. So, what kind of talent does the Chinese government need to join the political and legal internet influencer Red Army? This clearly indicates that positive energy creators are the answer. These are people who can generate positive energy content even if none exists in reality. You can now understand why so many foreigners have joined the ranks of telling the good story of China. The Chinese government has actively invited these influencers to create positive energy stories for China, as outlined in this government documents. The 7th principle emphasizes strengthening the army, transforming scattered and weak independent fighters on the internet into a powerful political and legal internet influencer Red Army. It means, even if you are already a top-tier online influencer with over 1 million Little Pink subscribers, on the internet battlefield, you are still fighting alone as a scattered soldier. So, the government might bring you into the system, turning you into part of the political and legal internet influencer Red Army. It further explains the need to unite social influencers, establish a communication mechanism for influencers, and actively strengthen both online and offline interactions with influencers in the region, guiding them to develop political alignment and fulfill their social responsibilities. It is very clear that if you are already a successful online influencer, the Chinese government has high chances inviting you to join the political and legal internet influencer Red Army.
The Shanghai Tourism Board even reached out to me and asked me how much money I wanted for them to follow me around with the camera and just film me eating top-notch food all around the city. It was a dream come true. After that,
Principle 8 calls for an elite team of talents capable of handling a variety of tasks, focusing on creating a professional team that understands politics, law, communication, and the internet. They aim to cultivate a group of political and legal new media talents. Judges, prosecutors, and public security officers, of course, understand laws and politics, but when it comes to communication and the internet, the government relies on these internet influencers to tell a good China story to the world.
But at the same time, I made my own travel vlog, which I put on my YouTube and again monetized. So I was again paid twice to travel to a cool place and hang out with friends.
If you've watched this far, congratulations, because it's confusing. Why does this government document repeatedly link social media influencers with politics and government? It doesn't make sense in Western countries, but this is how it officially works in China. So today, I've shared, based on official Chinese government documents, who is required to join the political and legal internet influencer Red Army to produce CCP propaganda. All civil servants. Who else can join this army? Any successful internet influencers are welcome. What do? Create positive energy contents to tell a good story of China. And most importantly, why is the Chinese government doing this? It is because the Chinese people are increasingly demanding democracy, the rule of law, fairness, justice, and a safe environment, which has posed new challenges to the Chinese government. If you're interested in learning more about the political and legal internet influencer Red Army, such as its structure, its achievements over the past few years, or the consequences for judges or prosecutors who refuse to produce CCP propaganda, subscribe and comment below for the next episode. See you next time.